Hello and welcome to Greetingstar. I'm so glad you could join me today. Guys, I'm super excited because Spellbinders asked me if I'd like to create some projects using some of their dies, so you can see what I did here. I'm going to be using the newly released Flourished Sonata Notecard etched dies from the Sweet Serenade Notecard collection by Becca Feeken to create 2 Slimline Christmas cards. Now these dies were intended to create a 4-inch note card as well, so don't forget that. And stay tuned to my channel because I'll have some more projects with other dies from this collection in the coming weeks. So there's lots of choices with these dies I'm using today, so let's get started. So you can see here that there's an outside die here that will cut this out completely, and then also there's a little insert. Now this is a very intricate, beautiful die, and you can use it with that outside die and with this inside die, but you don't have to. You can use it by itself as well. And then you have some other dies here that you can use, and I'm going to use this one here to create some gift tags to go along with my Christmas card, and I'll do that in a little bit. Now I did not use this square die or this this is not a die, it's the line die there, it's a scoring, and you can see here in this little piece there's some little notches. I don't know if you can see that, but that's where that little scoring insert goes, and then that way you can fold it, and that's will create for you a 4-inch note card. So you can use these dies to create a 4-inch note card, but I'm going to use them to create a large Christmas card, kind of a slimline. It's actually a little bit bigger than a traditional slimline, so you will have to create your own envelope for this card that I'm making today, and I will show you how to do that a little later on in this video, so stay tuned. Okay, so to start off with, I'm going to be using some cardstock from Spellbinders. This is the Waterfall and the Cosmic Sky Color Essentials cardstock, and I'm going to take the darker blue here and trim it a little bit and then score it so that way I can create my slimline card for you, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. And then I'm also going to be using these dies. Now these dies are, I think, from 2020. This is the Kaleidoscope Christmas Tree etched dies from the Sparkling Christmas collection. So let me go ahead and get out my Fiskars trimmer here, and I'm just going to be trimming it down. Okay, so I'm going to trim this down to 8.5, and then I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. So that's my measurements for that card. So it's going to be 8.5 by 4 1/4. So it's a little bit bigger than a normal slimline card. And then for the inside here, I just trimmed this down to 4 inches across, and then I'm going to use that outside die to create that pretty little decorative element. And so now you're going to be able to see what I did was I took the die and cut it out from the front panel of my card. Now I did not use that outside die, otherwise it would have cut it completely out. So now I'm going to use the Christmas tree dies. Now these are layering dies, so you can layer them up. There's a bottom, a middle, and a top. What I'm going to do is just show you here. Now these are not the colors that I decided to go with. I do choose some different colors, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this tree out of my front panel, and I'm going to use this die. This is the Season's Greetings Dear etched die set, and I'm going to use the words from this die set, and it says Season's Greetings, and I'm just making sure that my placement of my tree is going to allow me enough room for my words here before I go ahead and cut it out, because I didn't want to make that mistake and then not have enough room for my words. So I'm just going to tape that down and take it over to my die cutting machine, and you can see that it cut it out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere it to the inside of my card, and then the flap will open up, and you can see that Christmas tree. Okay, so this is going to be a cute card, and like I said, I'm going to go ahead and use the top, and then I'm also going to use the Spellbinders Teal Topaz and the Lilac, is it Lilac Blossom? Yeah, Lilac Blossom. And I'm going to, you can see the card there. Now I also use some rhinestones, so that's kind of cool. I just really like that. That's really pretty. And then I'm going to show you how to create this envelope here in just a moment. But before I do that, I wanted to make a cute little gift tag. So I'm going to take these two, and again, this is the Cosmic Sky and the Teal Topaz, and I'm going to cut them at 3.5, and then I'm going to cut them at 2.5. So these are, I think, the right size for that little die there to the side. And I'm going to do that for both of these cardstocks. So you'll have some cute little gift cards that are 3.5 by 2.5 inches. And then I'm going to use them to, I'm going to use this die here along with it to create the words on the gift tag, and then also to create a snowflake. So you'll see here that this is the August 2020 small die of the month, and trying to remember what it's called. It'll be linked down below, but because it is still available on Spellbinders website, I checked it. Okay, so I'm going to adhere that to the pretty teal color, the cosmic sky, to the teal, and then here's this cute little snowflake that came from that die of the month, and I'm just poking those out with my tool in one. And then I'm going to put some Tombow Mono on the back of that snowflake, but first I'm just using some double-sided adhesive to put that cosmic sky piece down. Now I cut the words out, and I'm just going to spell out for you, but you can spell out anybody's name because you have the whole alphabet on this die, which is really nice. It's perfect for little gift tags or what have you. And I just need to run it through my die cutting machine one more time for that letter O. So there we go. And then I'm just going to use some Tombow Mono to adhere all this down. And what's great about the Tombow Mono is it dries clear, so you don't have to worry too much about getting it where it shouldn't go, because it's just going to be clear anyway. I do try to be careful because you know, you don't want to make too big of a mess, but again, a little bit here and there is not going to be that big of a deal because it will dry clear. And I'm just lining these up on my little gift tag here, and I'm using that other piece there to help make sure that the letters are straight and lined up on the bottom. And this is always a little bit harder than you think, especially with tiny little letters. It's not easy to handle those. Especially the older you get, your fingers don't work quite as well as they used to. Okay, I decided to get my tweezers out because I think that helps a tremendous amount. Okay, so for you, I think that's great. And then I'm going to go ahead and punch a hole. But first I'm going to actually, I want to cut off the corners. So I'm going to trim another piece of cardstock just so that I get a 1/2 inch square, and then I'm going to cut it on a diagonal so I have a triangle. Then I'm just going to use that as a guide to cut off the sides, and that creates a perfect tag. Now there are lots of ways to create tags, but that's just the one I decided to use today. And then I hole punched it, and I'll put some pretty ribbon through there to create a beautiful tag for my gift. All right, now I'm going to show you how to do the envelope. Since the card is 4.5 inches, I'm going to take a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock, subtract that from 12, and that leaves me with 7 3/4 inch. So if you divide that, you're going to get 3 7/8. But I'm going to want to leave a little bit of a wiggle room. I don't want to score it right at 3 7/8. So I'm going to go ahead and score it at 3 6/8, which would be 3 3/4. So I'm just going to go ahead and score that at 3 3/4. And you'll see that in just a second. I've got to get my scoring tool out of the top here. But you can see those measurements there. Now this is a Martha Stewart scoring board, which isn't available anymore, but I know Fun Stamper's Journey has one that's a 12 by 12, so I'll link that down below for you. Okay, so I'm scoring this at 3 3/4 and then 8 1/4, and that'll be perfect. Now since this side is 8 and I think it's 8.5 inches. I subtracted that from 12 and then divided by 2, and that's how I figured out that I was going to cut at 1 3/4. But I thought that that was actually a little bit too small, so I went ahead and did it at 1.5 anyway. And so there's 2 score lines, but it'll just look like a decorative element on the front of my envelope, so I'm not going to worry about it. So now it's time to just fold those score lines. And you can see that the card fits perfectly in there. There's just a little bit of wiggle room, which is exactly what I want. And then I'm going to trim off those corners. I don't need those, but I can save those for another project if I want to. And then I always like to cut those little flaps. I like to cut a little diagonal section out just for an easier fold and less bulk. And I'm going to do that with the tops of those flaps as well. You'll see in just a moment. Okay, so that's how that's going to go, but I do want to cut those diagonal pieces off of the top of those flaps as well. Okay, and then I'm also going to cut the diagonal off of the inside flap there. And I think that looks really nice. So now I'm just going to use some double-sided score tape here and put that on there. That's a little bit stronger, I think, so I decided to use that for my envelope so it'll hold really well. And once I get that all together, I'll go ahead and do the same thing. I'll put another strip of that at the top, but I just won't remove the release paper, and then that way I can put it together when I decide to send it off. So there we go. There's my envelope. So that's the way to do that. Again, it is a little bit bigger than a normal slimline, so you want to make your own envelope. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what it looks like if you use that outside frame die and also the inside frame. So it'll cut it completely out, and then I'm just going to adhere it to my card base. So you can see here I've got this pretty red cardstock, and I'm just trying to line this die up on it so that way it will come out really nice. And take it over to my die cutting machine. And so this is the Pomegranate and then the Rainforest Essentials cardstock from Spellbinders. Now I've also used that Christmas tree die again, and then I'm going to use this Season's Greetings Dear Etched dies, and I'm going to use the word Season's Greetings again, and I'm going to take this mirror gold cardstock and cut out those words. And then I'm also going to cut it out of red cardstock, and that way I'm going to layer it. And I was going to put the red on top, but I decided to put it on the bottom so that it's going to have a red shadow. The words and the tree will both have a red shadow. So I'm using the bottom die in the gold and the top die in the Christmas tree in the red. And I'm just going to put the gold on top. And again, I'll be using my Tombow Mono to adhere all this together. And I think that'll be a really cute Christmas card for somebody. Now these colors are definitely complementary colors, so there's a lot of contrast. If you don't like that, you can go ahead and choose to do maybe a tone on tone. In this Color Essentials assorted pack, you get lots of different colors, and there's two sheets of each color, and there's usually two of, like, there's a pink sand and a dahlia and a pomegranate and a beeswax, a persimmons, a rainforest, a teal topaz, a waterfall, a cosmic sky, and lilac blossom. So you can take two of the colors that are similar, like maybe the pink and the pomegranate, and put those two together if you don't like the two contrasting colors as much. So that's something you can do too. Or you can do like I did with the blues and put those together. And if you don't have a Christmas tree die, maybe you can use a snowflake or maybe a Santa die. Anything Christmas themed would work here. So this time, instead of cutting out the tree from the card base, I just cut it out of separate cardstock and adhered it to the front of my card to give a little bit of a different look. And again, I'm just using this Tombow Mono to put this down on my card. And then I have to adhere these two together, and I'm going to offset them again so you can see a red shadow. And I think that looks kind of neat. But one of the things I love about card making is you can just, it depends on what you like, and some people like certain things in different colors, so use what you like and what your recipient likes, and you can just make it your own. So this is just sort of a jumping off point, and it's meant to give you inspiration so that you can go ahead and take these ideas and make them your own. So I'm almost done here. And that looks cute. Now I'm going to go ahead and put some of these adhesive pearls instead of the rhinestones. For the first card I used the clear rhinestones, but I'm going to use these pearls for this one. I think that looks really good with the red. And then I'm going to put a small one at the very top right there. So those are my cards for today. Thanks for joining me. I hope you had fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And don't forget to check back in a little bit, because I'll have some more projects from this wonderful collection by Becca Feeken at Spellbinders. Thanks so much and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.